Okay, let's read this a little bit. We're going to start in the book of Genesis chapter 37, verse 9. We're going to start with the second dream that Joseph had before his brothers put him in a pit and the Ishmaelites dragged him off and sold him to the Egyptians. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed to me. Verse 10, and he told it to his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I, being the sun, and thy mother, being the moon, and thy brethren indeed come to bow ourselves to you, to the earth? His brethren be the stars. Even his father knew exactly what that referenced in his dream. The sun, the moon, and the stars represent man, woman, and child. They also represent the timepieces. They're luminaries. They're measuring time. This is why I tell brothers all the time, like, these are systematic luminaries. How do you think scientists can tell the next lunar and solar eclipse is hundreds of years from now? Because our ancient forefathers studied these. We didn't have a clock. We didn't have a calendar. This was our GPS. This is how we knew when to offer our prayers, when Shabbat was, when Passover was, which direction to take through the desert and the wilderness. This is what we used. And they're systematic. The tribe of Issachar was stargazers. The ancient Chaldeans were Abram, in the land of Ur, the region of lights. That's what Ur means, right? So listen, if they're systematic, that means they're going to do the same thing all the time. They're measuring time. They're instruments. The luminaries, the sun, the moon, they're instruments that measure time like the hands of a clock. They measure the time, right? And by the way, the hands on the clock moves, not the face of the clock. So if the luminaries represent the hands on the clock and they're moving through the sky in a circuit, then that means the earth is not moving. It's the so-called face of the clock. So anyway, this is my point though. Who set this clock? If it's measuring time that has to be set in motion, there has to be a lawgiver to these luminaries that obey a law. Because if they're systematic, that means they are bound to a law. So there has to be a lawgiver. There has to be something or someone or a being that set that clock in motion, which means it has to be a beginning and an end. If it's measuring time, there is an end. There's an end of something. Because if it's measuring time, time is going to be up at one point. You better believe that. Peace.